120 years ago, to a time when one of the most shocking criminal cases in history unfolded in the streets of London Whitechapel. A mysterious killer, not only committing brutal murders but also instilling a sense of terror that would grip the entire city. But the question is, who was he? Why did he target women who were vulnerable? And could this case have been solved if the investigation had taken a different turn? And most importantly, where is he now? Join us as we uncover the chilling story of Jack the Ripper. And if you enjoy thrilling stories like this, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more exciting videos ahead. This is Whitechapel, an area of London where the darkness didn't only come from the lack of light but from the secrets that were kept hidden in its alleys. Imagine living in a place where murders happen regularly, where women disappear in the dead of night, and where justice seems impossible to find. How would you survive in a place like this? This is where the story of Jack the Ripper begins. And to this day, the identity of this infamous killer remains a mystery. But that's not all. During the investigation, strange letters began to arrive at the police station. Letters full of mocking, eerie messages, perhaps even from the killer himself. What was the purpose of these letters? Were they a sick joke, or was Jack the Ripper playing with the authorities? What do these taunts reveal about the killer's mind? So, who exactly was Jack the Ripper? And why do we still wonder about his true identity, even after all these years? From the perspective of a criminal expert, the case of Jack the Ripper is not merely a gruesome historical event, but a symbol of the darker facets of human nature. The unsolved murders that transpired in Whitechapel, London, in 1888 remain one of the most infamous cases in criminal history, not only because of the brutality involved, but due to the profound psychological complexity that the crimes represent. In the late 19th century, London was undergoing a rapid transformation. The city, a booming industrial hub, was plagued by immense social inequality, and Whitechapel, in particular, became a focal point for poverty, overcrowding, and systemic neglect. The residents of Whitechapel were predominantly from lower socioeconomic classes, and many women resorted to prostitution as a means of survival. The area was marked by its grim streets, where the marginalized populations lived and struggled in conditions that seemed to foster anonymity and despair. From a psychological perspective, the murders committed by Jack the Ripper reflect the pathological tendencies often seen in serial killers, particularly in cases of organized crime. The lack of clear, identifiable motive, combined with the killer's seeming detachment from empathy, speaks to the distorted psyche behind the killings. This was not simply a case of random violence, but of a deeply ingrained hatred of a particular class of individuals, prostitutes whom the killer seemingly viewed as disposable. When investigating crimes of this nature, one must consider the limitations of forensic science during the late 19th century. DNA analysis, fingerprinting, and other advanced investigative techniques, which are now standard in modern criminal investigations, were unavailable to the police at the time. Despite extensive efforts, the police were unable to secure the evidence necessary to bring the killer to justice. From a criminological perspective, the absence of forensic tools led to widespread speculation and the birth of numerous theories about the killer's identity. The fact that Jack the Ripper was never caught is perhaps the most frustrating aspect of the case. It points to the challenges inherent in solving serial killings, particularly when the perpetrator operates with such methodical planning and maintains a high level of anonymity. Various suspects were proposed over the years, ranging from local figures to more outlandish theories suggesting involvement by members of the royal family or even high-ranking officials. A commonly considered theory was that the killer was a doctor, given the surgical precision exhibited in the murders. Other theories pointed to individuals such as John Pizer, known as Leather Apron, a man who had a history of violence but was ultimately cleared of involvement. The issue with many of these theories is the lack of solid evidence. From a criminal profiler's standpoint, Jack the Ripper displayed behavior characteristic of a highly organized, intelligent offender, one who might have had knowledge of anatomy, perhaps even formal training. The surgical precision involved in the mutilation of his victims suggested a degree of expertise in the handling of a knife. However, due to the lack of tangible leads, no suspect was ever definitively proven to be the killer. The profile of Jack the Ripper remains elusive, but certain patterns emerge when examining the behavior of the killer. Criminal profiling, a technique developed and refined throughout the 20th century, would likely have pinpointed certain key psychological traits in the killer's modus operandi. The fact that Jack the Ripper targeted women who were already vulnerable speaks to his psychological desire for control over his victims, manifesting in brutal violence. The extreme nature of the mutilations, the removal of organs, the deep knife wounds suggests that the killer sought to assert dominance and power over his victims. Many experts believe that such acts could indicate a deep-rooted animosity or psychological trauma related to women, particularly those who were perceived as fallen or socially inferior. Further analysis of the killer's actions suggests that he may have been motivated by what is known in criminal psychology as sexual sadism. The Ripper's ability to commit such violent acts, without leaving clear traces or being caught, implies that he had a need to dominate and control in ways that were not only physical but also psychological. The precise and methodical manner in which he carried out his killings indicates an individual who was not only calculating but also emotionally detached from his actions, which is typical of organized serial offenders. Despite the lack of resolution, the Jack the Ripper case left a lasting impact on both law enforcement and society. It highlighted the need for more advanced investigative techniques and sparked widespread public interest in criminal profiling, an area that would later become a key element of modern criminology. The case also reflects the social dynamics of the time, exposing the fragility of marginalized communities. The women targeted by Jack the Ripper were among the most vulnerable in society, living in dire conditions. This tragic reality forced people to confront the pervasive issues of poverty, gender inequality, and the dehumanization of those at the bottom of the social hierarchy. Furthermore, the Ripper case had a profound effect on public perception of criminal justice. It illuminated the limitations of law enforcement in solving such complex cases and raised questions about the effectiveness of the policing methods of the time. The media's sensational coverage of the case only added to the hysteria, drawing attention to the deep fears of a society that had no answers for such a disturbing and unsettling crime. The chilling tale of Jack the Ripper, a story that has remained unsolved for over a century, reflects the darkness of human nature. The brutal killings were not only acts of violence but a reminder of the social issues at the time: poverty, inequality, and the vulnerability of marginalized people. Jack the Ripper's choice of victims, vulnerable women, tells us more about the twisted mindset of the killer than about the victims themselves. His actions were a reflection of a deep disdain for these women, and perhaps even for society as a whole. But despite the years of investigation, the killer's true identity remains a mystery, and with it, the question, why did he target these women in the first place? Was it personal, or was it something far darker? The fact that Jack the Ripper's identity remains unknown highlights something deeply unsettling about the world of criminal investigation. Sometimes, no matter how much evidence, no matter how hard the investigation, justice slips through our fingers. But this story serves as a reflection of the human need for answers. The quest to identify Jack the Ripper continues, and it serves as a lesson in the importance of justice, the impact of social conditions on crime, and the terrifying reality that not all cases are solved. While we may never know who Jack the Ripper truly was, we must remember the victims and the enduring impact this case has had on history. Let's not allow the darkness to overshadow the lessons we've learned from this tragedy. Jack the Ripper is more than just a criminal figure in history, he's a symbol of the fear that lurks in the darkest corners of society. His story forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about both the criminal mind and the societal conditions that breed such violence. The investigation might have ended without a resolution, but the impact of his crimes has rippled through generations. So, while we'll never know the true face of Jack the Ripper, we must continue to learn from the past. The tragedy reminds us of the importance of safety, compassion, and the need for justice for all people, regardless of their background. Thank you for joining us on this haunting journey through history. If you found this story fascinating, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more captivating videos.